Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we're going to come back with another part of our case study, and this is called scale. Right? Now, this is going to be a real simple one for you to look at, but you need to look more at your templates, okay? Now, one of the people, before we get to the sewing, one of the people I want to talk to you about today is Stephanie from Memoirs of a Long Arm Quilter. Her channel is doing some fun stuff, and she has some amazing stitches that go along with her long arming. So, come on in, let's get to the sewing. Okay, so here we go. Like, I have rulers for all of these, and I know I've asked you to make templates, but what I do is I put on felt pen marker how many to make and what degree they are, right? And that helps me not to cut too many. So I've got here, I've made 18 to make a full circle, and it's a 20-degree ruler. Just like this is make 8 to make, because it's a 45-degree ruler, right? So also the other ones, like I say, we mark them all because they're all different degrees. Like when they're 30-degree, you only make 12, right? So it depends on the angle of your Dresden as to how big or how small you're going to make it. This easy Dresden ruler, they say make 20 because it's an 18-degree ruler. Now, some of the really long ones I have are 15-degree ruler. I've also marked them. And I just put this with felt pen, and it doesn't come off. You just let it dry, and it doesn't come off, and it does help you. Now, because you're making templates, because you don't have these rulers, let's say, you're going to decide where the bottom part of your fabric is going to be on straight of grain, and where the top is going to be. Now, I've been cutting extra little Dresdens because I'm going to do something else other than a Dresden with this. And I've decided I'm going to make all of mine 1.5 to 5 inches. So you just go up from 0 to 5 and then 0 to 1.5, right, on your templates, and you can draw the line. Actually, you can draw the line anywhere you want. It's your template, it's your quilt, it's your block that you're going to make. So let's get started on these, because the scale of these is quite a bit different. And what I've tried to do is, hopefully, I know I cut too many, and I don't want this to go on too long here, but, so what I'm going to do is I cut more than I needed, of course. And so I'm going to just do, 8 of these, and I'm going to I need more than that. Oh, well, that's okay. So I have, let's see, 4 of the dark greens, 2 mediums, and 4 lights. So that's where I'm going to make my circle. Now, I've decided I'm going to, every dark is going to have a light beside it. Let's see, we'll get all this straightened out. You don't need the background, I guess. We don't need the background, but there. And we're just going to line them up. Now, we could sew these just straight, or we could put double points on them. If you put a point on this point is going to be very deep. But let's see what that looks like, because I mean, that's going to be fun, a higher end triangle. But yeah, let's do that. Let's do this instead. Let's go through all of these, make our points, make them pointed on the top. That way we have less appliquing to do. And you always fold them over so these 2 lines match, and then you run them through just like that. There we go. And like I say, these really don't take all that long. I'm glad we're getting so many responses to Dresdens. Dresdens are there's so many things you can do with Dresden, and we are going to be deviating from some of the stuff that we've done, so I think I'm just going to go dark and light, I think would be good. We're going to deviate, because some of the things that I was doing on other case studies you can't do. Like, for instance, what do you do if you change one element like a corner? Well, there's no corners. You know, that, so with Dresden's you're not able to do that. But you can do something else with it and show you what we're doing. I mean, we could have fun with all sorts of things. You could take, you know, make more how to do art blocks, or you can have all sorts of fun with this. So, there. Go. Let's run this through. Now I'm going to clip my quarters just so that I have a 1/8 seam right where that the stitching is. So I'm just going to clip it just like that. I don't know if you can see that good. Hopefully you can see that what I'm doing. I'm doing a long narrow cut instead of one just at 45 degrees because I find for me that works better. The point actually is pointier. And now I'm going to turn all of these exactly the same way we did it before. There we go. And I'm going to open it up with my fingers. Gee, my fingers aren't working good today. We've been getting so much rain up here. Oh, when we're filming this, it's like, it's turned into a very wet summer. And now I flipped it over, and I'm going to take a knitting needle. Or you can take one of those purple things or whatever. I just use a knitting needle. And I am just flattening this out and negotiating a corner. Now you can, that corner is supposed to be a 45 degree. And if my little template hasn't gone missing, yes it has. Oh well. I've ironed a little square that makes things easier to push out with freezer paper. And I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Here it is, here it is. And you just push this in there to make that into a perfect 45 or a 90 degree angle, right? And you can finger press along that line. Okay, so we'll do a couple more, and you know, I don't know why I cut so many mid-tones, because I only needed 8. Oh well. Now this is where I cut too many. I always cut too many because of that. So let me just line this up, and now we want to put this in to get our corner exactly perfect. Okay, so let me do the rest of these off camera and we'll start sewing these together. Okay, so here we go with the last, how you sew these larger ones together. And you do the same with the little ones. You line up this edge and this edge and this edge, right? Now you hopefully, and I always prefer to start with the fatter piece, and I just run it down, and then I try and match the bottom. But if the bottom doesn't match, don't worry, because you're going to cover it, right, with a center circle. So that should take some of the stress off of what you're doing. Now, I always finger press this open right away so it lies nice and flat. Now I am going to show you how to take out fullness, because I think that's where some of you get into trouble. So I'm lining this up, and I'm just going to line it up. Just take my time lining it up. Okay. Now the number of blades is dictated by the degrees on your ruler. So this is one that's 45 degree, and therefore you need 2 to make a 90, and you need 4, 2 times 4, 8 to make a circle, right? So here we're just going to line this last bit up. There we go. I'm going to press that. First I'm going to press that flat. Now, our grandmothers and great-grandmothers did not have time to be fiddling and be precise and be, you know, all these things. And some of the antique quilts, when you start looking at them, there was a lot of little imperfections because they were more concerned about making bedding than being accurate, right? I mean, when you've got cows to milk and, you know, children to feed and, you know, everything going under the sun, you don't necessarily have a lot of free time to be quilting. And this is where I'm saying, you know, people are putting way too much stress on themselves nowadays. So there it is. There is our Dresden. Now I'm going to put a circle and hand stitch it tonight and down on some fabric that I found that I just fell in love. And yes, it's going to be this bee fabric and a little polka dot underneath. But you can see there's a little bit of fullness in here. Now, what fullness is here will quilt out. It will quilt out because it's not very big. The more blades you have, the more chances you, of course, have for error. Now, this is the same width and depth, you know, almost the same size, because the 45-degree one is ½ inch bigger than the 20-degree one, right? So, I mean, you still have a little bit of issue here. But what our grandmothers and great-grandmothers would do is when they saw something like bubbling like this, they would just take one of the blades out, right? I mean, that's what they would do. Now, because this is a pattern of dark, medium, light, repeating throughout the Dresden plate, I'm going to show you how to do this. Some of our seams, when you flip it over, might be a little on the skinny side, or we might need to just start taking in some of the fullness in our seams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up and I'm going to change my foot to a regular foot, because I have a really good 1/4 inch seam, but you know, just because you have a really good 1/4 inch seam doesn't mean you're not going to have fullness, right? I mean, you know, like it could be just a little. If you're sewing them with a scant 1/4 inch, which I tend to do, they're going to be a little full. Now, it's important for you to note the center lies flat, the outside ripples. So you want to take your work and take it from this side. So I hope you can get the camera angle. Well, that's not good if I'm dropping it on the floor. But what I want to do is I just want to take just a little bit from this side and then down. Now I'm going to get our cameraman to zoom in a bit. So I'm just going to take just a hair further in at the top, okay, and maybe a little bit more, okay. And I want to get it right down to where I've sewn. So now I'm going to go look for another spot that I want to do it across. And every time you do take in just a bit, you want to lay it out and see if that corrected the problem. No, I still have issues, so I'm going to take the next bit across the other side, and I'm just going to take just a hair. Like we're talking like 1/8 of a seam, and then you want to bring it right back into the seam that you sewed prior. And I'll run it under. There we go. Now, did that fix it? No, it did not. Okay, so let's get more aggressive, and we'll just pick a different spot. Now we're going to start taking in a bit more, like that 1/8. This is how you correct stuff. Right? And it's important you know how to do this, because otherwise this Dresden plate becomes not very happy. It's not a very happy place for people. Okay, there we go. Let's see if that makes a big difference. Sometimes you just need to take out enough fullness. See, that's starting to lie flatter already. So let's do a bit more, just a bit more. You can see all of a sudden it starts to lie really, really flat, and that's where you want to be at. There we go. Another 1/8 of an inch from the top down to nothing at the bottom. There we go. Now that was a little healthier bit, right? That kind of, you know, sucked up a bit more fabric, right? So let's see. Well, that's just about flat. So we want to do any more? Maybe just a bit more. Hang on. I know. You're probably sitting there thinking, I don't want to win the quilt show with a Dresden plate, I just want to know how to make one, right? But this is what would happen when you would make a pattern. Now, if you were just going to, if you just had a random setting of all the different colors of blades that there were, of all the different fabrics you were going to use, then you would just take out a blade. And a lot of people will not notice that. And I bet you haven't noticed something in this fan is that I put 2 different darks in here. So this now is laying very, very flat, and I'm pretty happy with it. So once I iron it, it will lay flat. This will expand. And notice, not all of the center matches up. I don't know if you, maybe I should put something white under it. Hang on, let's do something white. There we go. There, not all of the centers match up. They do a little bit better job on the one with 8. They make a little octagon, but there it is. So, there we go. Okay, so we're finished with scale. Now, you can also make these longer, right? Like, you know, the where you're sitting there, there's a big difference between this one and this one, right? I mean, you can make them taller. You make your blades taller. Like this one's 8 inches tall. This one's like 4.5. Like I say, my biggest tip, you get one of these rulers, you mark on there how many to make a circle and what degree it is. Because the degree of the template is what's going to make your, determine how many blades you need for your Dresden to go into a circle. And I taught you how to ease it in. Now, the only thing I've got to do tonight, because this is where we ended up, I have to stitch around this, because it's only just pinned in place, and make a center hole. Now, I can use it with any of the circle templates that are also found with those green ones, or I can just do something a little bit cute. Like, for this one, maybe an octagon instead of a circle would be darling. You know, we'll see. We'll see. And you can tell the difference too on this one. Now, can you even see the one that I have changed? No, you can't, because the color tone is exactly the same. But if you were doing this from all sorts of different colored blades, let's say you decided your scraps were, you didn't have enough of any one color, but you decided to do all the scraps, you know, this would look darling. And remember how you ease in as to where it is, the fullness, to get it to lie absolutely flat. This has been so much fun. Just remember to go pick, you know, to go check out those links I gave you a shout out for. Stephanie at the Memoirs of a Long Arm Quilter. And it's been a great day. Okay, you have fun. I've got lots of hand sewing to do. Okay, take care. Bye. My husband and I would like to thank you for watching today. We're so happy about the way our channel has grown, and we just want to wish you so well in your journey along with us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Now, the next thing is this quilt. We are wondering if you guys would like this quilt as a free sew along on this channel this fall, this coming fall, winter. We were kind of thinking that this one would be really fun to do. We could do it in a larger size or a smaller size, it's up to you, but this one was a lot of fun to make. And it's all, it lends itself to being hand stitched, but you can also do this on a sewing machine as well. So let us know in the comments below. Remember, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Okay, have a great week ahead. Bye!